Let's see. Uh, Another thing that I thought you guys might find useful, and this not only applies for the photography for Rumble but pretty much any photography that requires two focus points. Like this picture right here. You obviously want your product to be in focus because you want to showcase the product, but you also want your subject to be in focus. And sometimes camera has a hard time focusing on 2 points, especially with different depths of field. You have your model here at the back, and you have your product here a little bit in the front. Um, and you sometimes get the perfect picture like this, but oh dang, the product is out of focus, and that's not bueno. Obviously, no amount of sharpening is gonna fix this. Well, it might look a little better, but it might not look as good as it could possibly look with this technique. So what I do when I have something like this is I overimpose a 3D model on top. I know it sounds kind of difficult and complex, but it's honestly super easy. I usually use Blender for it, but Blender has a steep learning curve, and there is an easier way to do it. The results are not as good, but it is faster. And for large photography sets with 200 pictures, and you don't have time to really go and edit each one of them, I think this method is it's a little faster. So with your Adobe subscription, you have access to Adobe Dimension. And in Adobe Dimension, you can import the 3D model. That's why I asked. I want to send the 3D model for it. So once you import the 3D model, you can literally just match the model to the angle of the picture, and you can adjust the lighting to make it lighter or darker. You can add fill lights, key lights, colorize the thing. You can also use the match image, which does a pretty decent job. I mean, it's not perfect, but it does give you a pretty close match to the lighting of the picture. And then you can just adjust it, right, to make it look a little closer to the real picture. And you can also adjust the color of your parts to better reflect what the actual product looks like in real life, or match the color to the photography so it looks more like on brand. So it helps to define the shape of the product a little better. It helps keep the colors a little bit more consistent and play well with your photography. And it gets rid of like this blur right here and around the buttons. Anyway, so it's just a matter of playing around and get used to using Adobe Dimension. Blender is much better for this, but it's a more complex process. Once you render your image, you end up with something like this. Obviously, this doesn't look super great. You're not just going to make this smaller and then put it here, because then it doesn't look good. But what you can do is use this to get what you need for this picture. Like for example, I can just grab the top. I'm just gonna do this really quick. It's just not gonna do it perfect. I can just grab the top, right, and I can just start playing with it. I can just use perspective, puppet wrap to make it match. So that already looks a little better, and you can zoom in and then clear up the edges, blur them, match this. You can also just start playing with selecting the mask. So you can start playing with the colors to make the plastic match. This plastic looks a little yellow, so obviously one of the improvements that you can do is make it look a little brighter without losing any of the details. Like if you can already see the difference, right, in the name of the product, the logo, the buttons right here. You know, you get the idea, and then I can do the same with this base right here. Um, you know, you can also just play with your blending modes, just to make it a little more realistic. See, see the difference. So like little things that really help. Once again, especially when you're gonna be seeing this at smaller scale. Or you know, when you need an image to look absolutely perfect, you know, for a landing page, for product print, for the Amazon listing, you know, an image that hundreds of thousands of people are going to be looking at. I do believe it's worth it to go through this process to make the product look a little better. You know, it requires a little bit more editing, but you get the idea. And the results when you are done, it's really extraordinary. You know, you can get the tones to match the vibrance and the saturation of your picture without losing too much of the detail. So I hope this is useful to you, and it will help you maybe in the future to just like edit the pictures that you guys take a little better, right? So, because you know, we can go from this, from this that's a little blurry, something a little more vibrant, more defined. It just looks like a better quality photography. I'm not saying the photography is bad, honestly. If the photography is good, is what allows you to do this kind of stuff. Anyway,